Here who made yesterday amazing, thanks mostly to your wonderful displays of gracious professionalism. So let's give it all up for all of you for making yesterday great, and be sure to keep that up today as well. Now, I know firsthand as an alumni of FIRST and of INdianaFIRST specifically, how easy it is to get caught up in the rankings and how well your robot's performing on the field, if you're able to get that autonomous program to work correctly, how many cubes you're able to stack on the scale or on the switch. But I really want to implore everyone here today, especially the students, especially the seniors, to be able to understand how important FIRST is beyond the field, beyond the awards, beyond all of the things that it's so easy to get caught up in. FIRST is an incredibly powerful program, and I want to make sure that you're all taking advantage of that to help have us understand how important it is and how much bigger FIRST is than all of the things that it's so easy to get caught up in here today. We have a video to kind of help you think about what FIRST means to you and to everyone else here today. So let's go ahead and take a look.
To me, robotics means...
That's a good question.
FIRST is more than robots. FIRST is like a family.
No, it doesn't matter your background because
it's community. Making things in general is what speaks to me.
I'm actively changing the world around me.
And we all work together.
We end up coming up with really interesting ideas, and she keeps it fun.
The more people know about robotics and STEM in general,
there would be smarter solutions to a lot of the problems that we have now.
Yeah.
It's just always intrigued me, making something.
I like building what comes to my mind.
Maybe a mini helicopter.
Mini robot, like a butler. Like boats. I just love that feeling of building stuff.
It brings out your imagination.
It helps expose me to different things.
It's almost like if you aren't having fun, you're doing it wrong.
A team is so much more than just building.
We meet a bunch of different people that we wouldn't normally meet.
People from different cultures and races and stuff.
It made me feel like that could be me.
No matter what you look like or where you're from.
We're just a team of people who really enjoy robotics.
It's just a whole nother world.
We can basically do anything we want with it. It's not just building robots.
So, I know you all have a lot on your mind today, but be sure to take some time to think about that question, about what FIRST really means to you. Try not to get too caught up in all the things happening on the field today, and slow down and really appreciate the time that you're spending here today. And be sure to utilize all of the resources and appreciate everyone here today that makes today possible. Now, without further ado, we have a couple of guest speakers here for you this morning. A few amazing guest speakers, if I do say so myself. So, first, it is my honor to welcome Andy Baker, the president and founder of AndyMark. Let's give him a big IndianaFIRST warm welcome.
Thanks, Rachel. I'm proud of you. I'm honored to talk here today, and I always try to have a point when I talk. And I think you guys deserve a message, and you deserve a point. So I'm gonna say some things, and I have a point at the end, and I have some tasks for you. So I've not Dean's homework, but I have some tasks for you to do. So there are 49 FRC teams in the state of Indiana. We had 2 new rookie teams this year. Looking at you guys over there. And Shamrock Robotics is in the house, okay? You guys up there. We had 2 restarted teams this year, and that's great. We can do better. I know that Chris Osborne is out beating the pavement, and we're gonna have a lot more new teams next year. We are primed for growth. The entire state of Indiana, there's about 1,400 robotics teams between all programs. VEX, FTC, FLL, Junior FLL, VEX IQ, CPERCH, there's all these robotics teams. This program right here is the varsity sport for robotics education and competition in the state of Indiana. So let's get more of the teams that you enjoy being on. Let's talk about how we're going to do that. Let's reach out to the teams who aren't here this weekend, and let's make sure they don't drop. Let's get them to come to Cage Match, to Rage, to the Purdue Forums. Let's give them the tools for them to be a strong, sustaining team. Let's have them beat out you guys to have a lot of parity and a lot of competition within the state of Indiana these next few years. Don't let those teams drop who aren't here this weekend. So task number 1, pick a team that's not here. Reach out to them, make sure they're getting the resources they deserve in order to be a sustaining team. Let's deliver on last year's challenge from Jason Zilke, who's now in Ohio. He said 80-20, 80 teams in 2020. 80 teams in 2020. Can you do that? All right. Now, let's remember how FIRST was started. I was honored, I was lucky to be in the right place at the right time. I sat down at my desk in 1992 at Delphi, and I saw FIRST start in 92. The guy next to me, Tim Garner, was the lead engineer on the Technocats that year. FIRST was started by Dean Kamen asking companies and asking prestigious universities and colleges to start FIRST teams. He didn't go out to high schools and ask them to start FIRST teams. He asked companies like Xerox and GM and Johnson & Johnson, all these companies to start FIRST teams. We need to do that here in the state. We need to get these teams that we help start and sustain successfully paired with companies and mentors. Because I'm going to say something, some of you guys might not like it, but this is not a student robot design competition. This is a mentorship program. It's a program about adults and kids working together to build wonderful things that inspire students. Science fairs are great. This isn't a science fair. This is an inspiration program. So, FIRST teams will grow and be sustained if education and corporate sponsorship, if that partnership is strong. Look what's happening in Michigan. Right now in Michigan, there is a huge state championship. There's 508 FRC teams in Michigan, gobs of FTC teams in Michigan, and they have huge corporate sponsorship. They have huge government sponsorship for those teams in Michigan. I'm jealous. I'm jealous, but we collectively can work to get more companies involved. Obviously, FCA is involved, Fiat Chrysler Automotive. We've got Rolls-Royce involved down at Indy. They're doing wonderful things. We got Toyota on board with supporting IndianaFIRST now. But where is Subaru? Where is the GM plant up in Fort Wayne? Where is the Honda plant down in Shelbyville? Let's reach out to Lilly. You guys know people within these companies. Let's reach out to them, get a connection, work with Renee and Chris. Renee and Chris, raise your hands. Work with them to help you. They run a great organization, but they need our help to make connections. They need our help to make connections for teams to get supported by these companies, and they need help to get those people to come to our VIP events at these events. Let's look at a really good example of how this was done out west. There was a young man many years ago who represented NASA, who started teams in the San Francisco area. He reached out to Hawaii, and he started a bunch of teams in Hawaii as a corporate representative of NASA. He ran around the field and would introduce teams, and he had spiky blue hair and a blue coat, and he inspired a generation of firsters to do wonderful things. And he passed away this past week. And what grabbed me about his death this past week of Mark Leone was the impact he made on so many people to inspire them to do the math and save the world. So rest in peace, my friend Mark. Good job in supporting your company and all these teams out west. So, 2 tasks. First one, you've already agreed to it. Pick a team to support them. Second task, pick a company, pick a legislator, pick a government, pick our governor. Get them on board with what we're doing. Help connect the dots. Help get that company person in touch with Chris and Renee. Renee is our executive director. She will help you out. And let's grow FRC. Thank you.
Thanks again to Andy and his Andy assignments. Next, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce the Manufacturing Engineer Manager for the Transmission Manufacturing Engineering Center, which overlooks all of NAFTA for FCA, Steve Burris.
Good morning. Is everybody ready to get this competition started? All right, so I'll take that as a mandate to not make this very long and get to the point. I'm honored to be here today and excited to be a part of this competition and look forward to being part of it from the years to come. I've committed to Andy and to Renee to provide mentors and volunteers, but especially the mentors from my advanced manufacturing group. I've got robotics engineering groups to help support this competition and the teams that are involved in it. The future of our success in manufacturing is dependent upon things like this. The people and the students that are involved in this are our future innovators. They're our future problem solvers. They're the future of our manufacturing base and the future of our country. I think they need to be applauded today for everything that they're accomplishing and for what they're showing us that they can do. As the manager of all the transmission plants for controls, robotics, automation, for the NAFTA transmission plants, and I'm challenged every day with trying to provide solutions for very technical problems that we have. We're dealing with, coming towards us, AGV systems, which are automated guidance systems, to be able to run through the plant without anybody guiding them, controlling them. They do it on their own. The guidance systems on those we're on the front end of that technology, and we need more people to help deliver that. People like you that can be involved in that. Robotics solutions. In the days in the past, we thought robotics were replacing the workforce. And we've found that that is not true. They are augmenting the workforce. They're a valuable tool, and we need much more of them and much better solutions using robotics. Again, that is where you all come in. You're an important part of the future. I'd also like to mention FCA, which is Fiat Chrysler Automobile, in transmission, is one of the largest transmission manufacturing centers in the world, and it's located right here in central Indiana. So it's part of my desire to make sure we ensure the future of our own manufacturing base, having people learning and coming forward in the future to be able to fill those manufacturing needs. We're relying on all of you to be able to help do that. Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here. I'm looking forward to seeing the competitive projects and teams that are going to compete today on the field. Thank you.
Thank you to both Andy and Steve for their generous support. Next, I would like to make sure that we get reintroduced to some really important people. First, some zebras that you're going to see out on the field here today making some incredibly tough decisions because we have 32 amazing teams here today. Let's go ahead and recognize our referees. Next, a group of volunteers that help to make sure that everyone, all of the robots, are good to go out on the field here today, and everyone is able to compete at the highest level of competition. Let's give it up for our inspectors. And last, and certainly not least, a group of people whose job I do not envy, especially here at state championships where they have an incredibly difficult job to decide between 32 amazing teams for a limited number of awards. Let's give it up for our judges. Next, it's really important to recognize all of the volunteers here today. So if you see someone in a orange media shirt or a black volunteer shirt or any of the other volunteers you have today, be sure to give them a warm thank you and appreciate all of the work that they've done. So let's give a big round of applause for all of our volunteers here today. Thank you. Next, it is my pleasure to invite onto the field the IndianaFIRST Board of Directors to help present 3 very important awards here this morning. To present these awards, I would like to invite and introduce Colin Foltz, the president of IndianaFIRST.
Good morning. Thank you, Rachel, very much. I bet you thought that you were going to get through the whole season without them giving me a microphone. I apologize, but I do get to hand out a few awards here. I'd like to first recognize the IndianaFIRST Board of Directors for another outstanding season. An interesting thing about our board that is pretty unique throughout the United States within FIRST is that every single member of our board is either an FRC alum or an FRC mentor or both in a lot of cases. And so this board really does a great job of keeping the focus on the team and on the team experience, and I'm so thankful to have had the pleasure of working with you all this year, so thank you very much. Our first award that we're going to hand out is an award that we started last year. It's the IndianaFIRST President's Award. This award is designed to recognize a company or an organization that has gone above and beyond in helping to grow IndianaFIRST. And I thank Andy for teeing this up so well for me. When we go out to reach out to new companies, remember that it doesn't have to be a big ask at first. We can start small, we can get in, and then we can grow, just like what happened with this company. In 1998, this company started with FIRST Robotics Competition mentoring one team. In 1999, that foundation of mentorship grew to including financial support for that one team. Since then, they have grown to sponsor and provide engineering mentors to 17 Indianapolis area teams, and they put a special pot of money together designed for those teams that qualify for the World Championship, recognizing that it can take an extra bit of fundraising and not a lot of time for teams to be able to get there. They were also an instrumental help in our transition to districts. That's one of the concerns that a lot of regions have when they go to districts, is that their big corporate sponsors will miss all the glitz and glamour of the regional and won't come with them. This company wasn't about that. They knew that the playing time and the investment in the students was worth it, and that's where they were focusing their money. And so they have also included a financial support for every Indiana district event and funds that help support us operationally, that help us to do things that make sure that we can sustain as a nonprofit every year. So we have a few specific representatives from this company here that I'd like to call out by name, but then I would also like to have every mentor that's in the stands. We want to try and get a picture on the field here. Every mentor that is here, or every volunteer that's here, that is a Rolls-Royce employee, if you can come down as well. So Lisa Teague, who is the head of research and technology for Indianapolis, I believe is here. Kathy Elliott, who is the chief of performance and aerothermal systems for Rolls-Royce, and Reginald McGregor, who we've all seen quite a bit and love. He is the technical program manager and engineering co-op and college relations manager, and really make sure that IndianaFIRST gets the money that they need every year. So if those three can please come down, and any mentor that's out there that's a Rolls-Royce employee, any volunteer that's a Rolls-Royce employee, if you can come on down. Congratulations, Rolls-Royce, for this year's President's Award. And while we take the picture, I believe we have a quick video that we're going to share.
Rolls-Royce has been a sponsor for as long as our team has been around. They've contributed. One of our primary mentors, Chris Foltz.
So one of the big reasons FIRST is important to Rolls-Royce, one is it's a great community support activity. We sponsor a lot of teams in the Indianapolis area and the Indiana events because we want to be good community partners. Second is it really supports us from a STEM initiative perspective. One of the corporate goals is to really reach out a lot of students, and through FIRST, that's one of those. We've been involved with FIRST for 20 years now, and we've just seen positive benefits, so that's why we stay involved with FIRST.
Well, actually, one of our mentors, Peter, he's amazing. He actually works at Rolls-Royce. He's made important spreadsheets for us. He's our electrical mentor, so he's always involved. He's staying late with us, helping us travel. He actually helps a lot with transport.
It's really supportive because they realize what we're trying to do and what we're trying to impact and our purpose as a FIRST team. And by them supporting in us, that really makes us feel valuable and helping us through what we're trying to accomplish. That's really nice.
Each year, you develop new relationships with new students. You see a freshman come in that's maybe a little timid and quiet, doesn't want to speak up, and by the time they're a senior, they're stepping up and talking to judges, they're planning and organizing meetings, and you're helping them figure out what their career is.
Our next award that we want to hand out this morning is our Founders Award. This award was designed to honor a person or group of individuals who have been important in helping IndianaFIRST reach their strategic goals. When we began our transition into districts, we set forth a set of goals for our first few years as a statewide operating committee. And one of those goals and one of the things that we thought that we would be able to do with the district events was to bring events closer to teams. And we thought that this would have a couple of benefits. First, it would help cut down on some travel costs, right? If everybody didn't have to converge on one part of the state, that would help teams save hopefully a little bit in travel. The second is that we recognize that it can be really helpful for you in growing FIRST in your community if you have events that aren't a 3-hour drive away. It can be hard to get a mayor or a school superintendent to make that drive for something that they've never seen before. It's a lot easier when it's in their backyard and you say, oh, just stop on by. Our first 2 years, we had a lot of events in central Indiana. And as someone who grew up on the south side of Indianapolis, to me, coming up to Kokomo was an event in the northern part of the state. After talking and listening to teams who actually live in the northern part of the state, you realize what kind of a fallacy that is. So 2 years ago, and really a little more than 2 years ago, a group stepped up and said, we want to take the lead on beginning and maintaining and creating a sustainable event in the northern part of the state. And so they have stepped forward with an amazing venue at a great high school. They have created a financially strong and stable organizing committee and event. As you saw this year, they were able to get a beautiful video board donated for the event and created really strong local support. So if we could please have the planning committee and the event committee from the St. Joseph District event. And congratulations to them for this year's Founders Award. The final award that I get to hand out this morning is the Volunteer of the Year Award. This award is selected by the Board of Directors and celebrates an outstanding volunteer at a statewide level within IndianaFIRST. This volunteer is always where you need him, but never makes it obvious that he's helping out. He's recruited other volunteers and been invaluable in training and mentoring new volunteers to make sure that we have a sustainable volunteer base. Going beyond his role at events, he's helped to build field parts, donated tools, inventoried the competition field, assisted with queuing, and helped design carts for the field transportation. For his humble commitment to the program, his stealthy enthusiasm, and dedicated to the robot quality of every team here, the IndianaFIRST Board of Directors has inspected the arena and is honored to present the Volunteer of the Year Award to our lead robot inspector, Dan Phelps.
And you're counting us in. I can't say that. I'm so sorry. I can hear it.
Let's have one more big round of applause for our IndianaFIRST Board of Directors and the 3 winners of those awards here today. Those people taking a picture right now are some of the most influential and hardest working people in the state with regards to FIRST Robotics. So if you see them around today, be sure to thank them, but also recognize them as the resources that they are. And if you have any questions, be sure to ask them and talk to them. Now, here's what the immediate future is going to look like. This morning, we are going to finish out our qualification matches. So these teams on the field right now, they're going to be ready to battle it out with yet another round of matches of FIRST Power Up. Then we're going to do alliance selections, where the top 8 teams are going to pick their partners, and then we're going to have lunch, and then we are going to have the playoffs in the afternoon. After that, we will have an alliance of Indiana state champions, and then we're going to do the awards ceremony. Now, before we get started with qualification matches, please join me in welcoming our 3 wonderful individuals who are going to be leading us for the national anthem. From Team 135, please join me in welcoming Kia, Mackenzie, and Julia, and please stand for the national anthem.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you again to Kia, Mackenzie, and Julia. Now, We are ready to start the game. Let's start the day. Let's get our arcade ready for competition. Teams, come on out to the field, turn on your robots, and we are going to start qualification match number 48 very quickly. See you then.